which box something.
But what I want you to focus on is today's activity. I really want you to focus and do your best on today's fitness test event, which is curl-ups. That's a big part of what we're doing today. Now, we're going to start when they're ready, and we'll do our warm-up. So we did our laps already. Let's do a half count of our warm-ups. So instead of 10, how many are we doing? 5. Okay, can we do that? Leaders, can we go through it pretty quick so we can get started? So after we do our warm-up, half count, leaders, we're going to go right over to the mat, and then we're going to begin our fitness event of curl-ups. Does everybody understand? Okay. We ready? Okay, all right. You guys ready to do your warm-up? All right, 5 count. Get it going, leaders. Yeah, here. Put it up here. I don't want you sticking yourself. Okay, make sure you got your space. Okay, go ahead, get it started.
Jumping jacks, ready, begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There you go. Just go up to 5 now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You guys got a lot better at that. That's a lot better. And then
Hamstring stretch. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
very good.
Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Remember, we're going 5. We're speeding it up, guys.
Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Switch. Come on. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good. I know it's a little fast, but make sure we still get a good stretch.
Burpees.
Everyone's favorite.
Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5.
Very good. See, I know you guys would like the half count. Okay, what's that for burpees? Leg lifts. Leg lifts. There you go.
Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done.
Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ready? Begin. T, B, I, R, D, S. T-birds.
All right, close it up. Leaders, you have some sheets of paper and you have some pens. Make sure everybody in your team gets one of each. When you get your paper and your pen, go ahead and start filling out everything up to age, your name, your teacher, your grade.
Do we fill in weight and height?
Just start. No, we're going to wait on that, remember? We're going to wait on that until we come back again for PE.
I know my height.
Now, not your age yesterday, not your age tomorrow. So what you have in your hand is your data sheet. We are going to be recording information in there. Now let me get everybody's attention. Find coach. When we start working with fitness testing, we're going to start looking at your personal information, your body composition. Sometimes that's not easy to share, but in PE we got to learn to work with one another. We got to be able to respect other people's differences. So when we start, please respect each and everyone's information. We did it in the last class, we did it all week. Everybody's been doing a great job, and that's what I expect today. Now, we're going to be looking at doing your curl-up today. Up here, we have your passing scores. 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, boy or girl. Those are your magic numbers today. That's the number that you want to try to get close to. Does everybody understand? Does everybody see in their head what their number is?
Yes.
Now, on the board, we also have percentages up there. That's going to be very important because we're looking at how well each class is doing. Right now, we have 2 classes with the pink stars. 57% of those students in that class passed that test. So when you think of 57%, are you looking more or less than half of the students?
More.
Why? More. What's half?
50%.
So 57, they're just passing that halfway point. Coach would like to see every class get to 70 to 75%. I want to see you guys do well. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
So when you're over there, do your best. Don't leave saying, oh man, I could have done better. When you do that, then you know you didn't do your best. And a big part of that is working together, your teamwork. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
You can help your teammate do the best they can, or you can help them do not the best they can. It's really up to you. You guys understand that? Okay? So really work on doing well. Is everybody familiar with this event?
You have to hold them, but
That's right. Hold their feet down. Hands on their feet. Now, everybody turn your heads. Let's look at Zach over here. Crisscross. Now, it's really important that you understand that you keep your arms crossed, fingers at your shoulders. As you come up, boys and girls, turn your heads. As soon as your elbows touch your thigh, you come back down. Don't overextend going all the way, okay? Just like that, Zach. If your teammate does struggle and their arms come up, you can't count that rep. So honesty. We're looking at respect and honesty today. Both of you need to be working together. Any questions? Comments? Is everybody ready to do their best? Yes. I think this class can get better than 57%. Okay? I want to see that number jump up to 60, 70%. And I think this class can do it, but it's really up to you. Are you ready?
yes.
Watch the clock. It's going to count down to 0. Okay, focus, focus. Remember, we want to get better than 57%.
2, 1, go.
There you go. Good. Perfect.
2, 3, 4,
Come on.
19, 20, 21, 22,
15 seconds.
8.
Good, good, good. Everybody knows what their magic number was. You did really well in this, guy. Natasha, good job. Come on, you guys can do it. 15 seconds.
Come on. 16.
5 seconds. Come on, everybody on the left now. Thank you for encouraging them. High five, fist bump, whatever you want to do. Okay? All right. Boys and girls, stay with your teammates. Keep your data sheets with you and your pens. Let's go back to in front of the whiteboard. We're going to start looking at our numbers now. Boys and girls, here's where we start looking at how well our performance was. We can start measuring how well we did in our own individual performance and our class performance. After you've written down that information, the next 2 lines are first attempt, second attempt. Write down how many curl-ups you did when we were at the mats. We only did one. We only did one, so we should just have 1 score in there. Curl-ups. Curl-ups, yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes. If we have time to do a second attempt, we'll squeeze it in. But if we can't, we'll just have to work with this number. Has everybody got it? Yeah, right now that's where we're at. Okay, so eyes up here. Now let's look at how many laps. You know, when we came in, we did our warm-up, right? How many laps did we do? 4. We're going to start looking at our number line. Our number line is going to help us look at getting a percentage and seeing where we're at as far as getting to the number that we needed to. Girls? Okay. So how many laps did we run?
4.
That's 100%. If I said run half of the warm-up today, how many laps would you have run? Well, how many would you have ran? 2, which is 2. Yes, you're right, Chris. 50%. So half, in decimal form, it's 0.5, and percentage-wise, it's 50%. Now, what if I said run a quarter of your warm-up? 1 quarter. 1/4, I should say. 1/4. If Coach said run 3/4 of your warm-up. Now, if Coach said, and some of you would have liked to have done this, run 5, what percent is that now of your warm-up?
1.25.
So can we go over 100%?
Yes.
Yes, we can, and today I think most of you did. Now, look at the line, your own number line there on the top of the page. Where it says passing score, go ahead and write that in. Remember these scores right here? These numbers. How old are you, Sky? 11. So for you, your passing score was 32 curl-ups. Write it on top of that line. Whatever these numbers are here. Lamar, how old are you? So Lamar's looking at 35 for his passing score. Okay? Now, what is half of your passing score? What is half of your passing score? If it's 30, what's half of 30? 15. Then you would write whatever half of your passing score is on that little line above half. Okay, so how old are you?
11.
11-year-old boys. So 11-year-old boys, you're looking at 37 being your passing score right there. That's where you want to write passing score. Okay? Now look at all these different spots here. You have to fill in the blank. So you know this is 37, just like when we did our laps. We ran 4 laps, right? So what's half of 37? And then what's half of that half right here for a 4th? Does that make sense? Can you do that? Not chewing that pin too? All right, so what's half of 37? If we're looking for a half a number, what do we divide it by?
2.
Say that louder.
2.
What number?
2.
What number?
2.
Okay, can you do it then?
Yeah.
37.
Do we do it on the...
Do it wherever you want on that paper. That's your paper.
I'm doing on that.
You're looking to fill these in now. Okay. All right. Look up here, please.
Score and divided in.
A lot of confused people, and that's Coach's problem. Okay. So if I'm a 10-year-old, let's say I'm a 9-year-old boy, 32, what's half of 32?
18.
You sure?
16.
16. And then I put 16 where the half is. Okay? So how do I find a 4th now? A 4th is a half of a half. What's half of 16? 8. Do you see how that works? So now what's 3/4? How do we find 3/4?
28.
28 or 20 what? Yes. So each of those lines, see if you can fill in what number needs to go there. Okay? That's why you're in teammates. Or that's why you're working with the teammate. Okay, so how do you write 18 and a half? How else can you write that? If you write it in decimal.
1.8.
18 point what? There you go. Okay. So write that in as half now. Uh-huh. Right. Remember, we're going to be dividing by 2 a lot. What is it? How do you divide? Are you sure? Is it just 7? There you go. Lucky you have Sky in here. Those of you that are good at math, go ahead and share that information with other students. Okay? Some of these numbers might be 0.5 or a half. Okay, what's half of 35? Write it out. You're going to have to divide it by 2. 35 divided by 2. Now, are you asking your teammates for help too? That's why you got 2 brains there. What's half of 18, Quentin?
6.
Are you sure? Thank you, Sky. Okay, so that whole number is going to be 9 right there. But are you done?
No.
Okay, so write down 9. Now, so you have a half there.
So we put 9, 1/2.
So what, 9 and a half? Or are we looking at what's half of a half? If we see a half here, 0 to this point is a half. What's in between the 0 and the half? What's this fraction here?
1/4.
1/4. So can we say that 1/4 is half of 1/2? Yes or no?
Yes.
Look at it again. Okay. So you say yes, but do you see it? Do you see why you would put it?
Yeah.
So if this is a half and this is the middle number, now what's that number going to be?
1/4.
We'll say the whole thing though. It's
9
not.
and 1/4.
Very good. Oh, we get it. What did you write down on your paper? What do you got on your paper? Okay, so 17 and a half. All right. So we're still finding what this number is and that number. Okay, let's ask the class. I think we got a little stuck on 0.5 or a half. Now, Chris, I need your attention up here. Got 17 and a half as being half of 35. Do you guys agree? Yes or no?
No.
Why do you not agree? You had 18 being half of 35?
Oh, never mind. I was in the 37 one.
You were on the 30s, even with that. So if we look at what's different between 35 and 32, is it an odd or even number?
Odd.
So when you start looking at odd numbers, we start looking at fractions, we start looking at decimals. Whereas the even number, it usually ends with, if you divide it by 2, it ends with what? A whole number, right? There's no fraction, there's no decimal. So now, so 17.5 is still the same as this right here. A half or 0.5. So, can I write it like this, Lamar?
No.
Isn't that the same as that? Yes? Which one? Yes or no? Next rotation. Okay, so now we need to know what this number is here. So first of all, can we do what's half of 17? What's half of 16? Look at your paper. 8. So what's half of 17 now?
No, 9. 8 and a half.
What is it, Natasha?
8 and a half.
Okay, so 17 divided by 2 equals, what did you say, Natasha?
8 and a half.
8 and a half. Does everybody see that? Or 8 and 1/2. Now, what about this half right here? What do we do with it? Are we going to make it smaller or bigger? If we're going to the left and we're going towards 0, is that fraction smaller? So now, what do we say half of a half is? 1/4. Okay? So now, where does that 1/4 go with 8 and a half? Where does that go? If we have a half being 0.5 and a fourth being 0.25, what do they equal if we add them together? If 0.25 plus 5 is added together, so where do you see 0.75 at? So what fraction is that?
3/4.
So can we say 8 and
3/4.
as being half? Okay. Is this a little hard to take in right now? Okay. What about the even numbers? Is that something a little bit better? Does that work for you guys? Okay. When we come back, be ready to get your class percentage. Well, real quick, how many kids passed? Raise your hand. Easy. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you passed for sure. Out of how many students? Out of 19? Okay. So, 2 out of 19. What percentage? Is that more or less than half? Way less. So I don't know if you want to know that percentage right now, because Coach kind of is already figuring what that is, and that's something that we're going to have to be working with as far as the curl-ups. Okay? Does everybody understand? Okay. Team spots. When I call your team, hand me your paper and your pen.